Uh, Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our chief guest has already arrived. Please be seated. I request everyone to please do not move around, and it's a humble request. As soon as he enters, please welcome him with a big round of applause. And put your phones on silent mode, or if you can switch it off, that would be great. Check, mic check, mic check. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We are deeply honored to have our Honorable Minister Shri KT Ramarao, former IT Minister, Government of Telangana, as our esteemed chief guest for this special occasion. Can we have a big, big round of applause, please? Thank you so very much. I request everyone to please be seated. Thank you so very much. I request all of you to kindly be seated. Thank you so very much. And now I request the ISBA team to kindly accompany our Honorable Minister, Shri KT Ramarao, Government of Telangana, to the dais, please. So we still believe in you. तालियां बजती रहनी चाहिए, जोरदार, धमाकेदार. We have been waiting for this moment, right? Great. Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. Ramji, COO of AIC CCMB, to deliver the welcome note, please. Thank you.
గౌరవనీయులైన శ్రీ కల్వకుంట్ల తారక రామారావు గారికి మా అందరి తరపున కూడా వార్ వెల్కమ్ సార్. ప్లీజ్ give a big round of applause. I really actually want to speak in Telugu, my native language, but yes, having lot of outstation audience, non-native Telugu audience, so it's my immense pleasure to have former IT Minister Shri Kalvakuntla Tarak Ramarao Garu, KTR, the brand, the man is here who actually built this entire Telangana incubation ecosystem. If you can see 10 years before, that's a different world. But today, whatever we have seen, the T-Hub and T-Works that you have seen, the man is here who actually envisioned those years, those times. Yesterday, I think, when Jayesh Garu mentioned about the initial plan in ISB and IIIT, etc., I would like, sir, there are no formal welcome notes to read here. Please excuse me, but I would like to share my own experiences way back in 2014 when he became the minister, the initial times of the government formation. First time I saw this gentleman, I met this gentleman here about the initial brainstorming discussions to set up a center for healthcare entrepreneurship in IIT Hyderabad. I was mesmerized the way everyone, because he never see the speech to identify the numbers, how Japan is doing, how South Korea is doing, where are we, and how we are trying to go ahead of those particular economies. I think that inspired me a lot And second meeting in my previous organization, IKP Knowledge Park, Sir came on BioAsia Times. Again, it's a mega event where actually in Sir's presence, lot of collaborations, lot of activities and several industries have been set up. And I met him again. It's a bumper offer for me to meet Sir. And the third time, Sir, I'm not telling many, but third last thing I can tell, how this ecosystem happened. Yesterday I gave an example to Rahul when we are talking about, incubators meetup, there are no champions. He actually told the then CIO of TSIC, Telangana State Innovation Center, whatever the government incubators and enabling agencies that we have today in the state, actually everything is totally indulge himself to actually look after each and every activity along with all the CEOs and CIOs, and also the only minister who actually came to our incubators meet, that meeting, sir, if I remember, it's in GHMC, sir. Dr. Madhu is there, and the then director of CCMB, Dr. Rakesh Mishra, is also there. When I was just writing the note, suddenly he pulled out a name. I think Ramji is doing his best to bring the incubators together. I was just, it's a heart attack thing for me suddenly. Then I just asked funny, why actually, when sir, once you tell the name, he will never forget. Once you tell the numbers, he will never forget. That day onwards, that motivation by a minister like this, actually making me to indulge myself, to keep my heart into this ecosystem. That's where this 10 years journey is an excellent journey along with KTR, sir. Sir, thank you so much for inspiring me and motivating me to us. And yes, of course, another touch to the CCMB and this biology. Sir is a microbiologist and also biotechnology background. But the knowledge and wisdom that he is having is vast. Sir, with that small experience and note, of course, I no need to introduce about all other activities because it's a brand. KTR is here. Thank you, sir, and please welcome to the ISBACON that is happening here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Ramji. That was so inspiring and setting the stage for all of us. I now request Dr. Suresh Kumar, Executive Director, PSG STET and President of ISBA, to give a brief note on ISBACON highlights.
Honorable former IT Minister of Telangana, Shri KTR, my family members on and off the dais. Good afternoon, and it's our pleasure to have Shri KT Ramarao for the valedictory function with us. And the way Dr. Ramji has expressed, and the way people like us who are not from Telangana or from the neighboring state, from Tamil Nadu, had heard more about Shri KTR, it's a great opportunity for us to be with him in the dais and also to listen his vibrant speech. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and being with us to address our audience. To give a brief about ISBA, the Indian Steps and Business Incubator Association, shortly called as ISBA, has been formed in the year 2004, when the incubation center in the country is nascent. And across the country, we have about 40-50 incubation centers. And out of which, few of the visionary leaders and thought leaders decided that we should form a network. And only experience sharing and only we work together, co-create, the incubation movement can success. With that thought, we formed an association in the year 2004. And it's a great journey that we have in the last 20 years. Out of this 20 years, from 30 incubation centers as members, today we have about 160 incubators across the country as the members of this association. Out of the 20 years of our journey, except the 2 years of our COVID period and 2 years of the initial years, all 16 years we have conducted this annual conference called ISBACON. And this is the 16th conference that we are doing it in Hyderabad. For your kind information, the first conference of ISBACON was organized in Hyderabad in the year 2007. And after almost 17 years, we have come back to Hyderabad. Meanwhile, we have organized this conference in various cities so that we reach out to the various stakeholders, policymakers, and the government of the respective state governments, and hope we have achieved what we have been doing. few achievements that as an association we have done in the past. Because those times the incubation movement has been supported by the central government, and the funding has come from the central government. Very recently the state missions have formed and they have started supporting incubation center. In those days, the first achievement what we have done is the incubation centers are exempted from erstwhile service tax and as well as the current GST thing. And also the incubators have also been exempted. The initial years, if they are incubated at any incubation center supported by GST, has been exempted from the GST and erstwhile service tax. Secondly, we are able to get included in the Schedule 7 of this Companies Act 2013 to get CSR funding from the corporates, which also helps a lot of our incubation centers today to garner funds from the corporates to fund the startups, to convert their product into idea into product and take it forward, commercialization and scaling up. And also that helps a lot in sustainability and coming out new corporate programs. Thirdly, most of the incubation centers in those days have been registered as societies, and societies have been, as per the income tax law, we can't take equity in the startups. But incubation centers which are registered as a society has been exempted or allowed to take equity in the startups. That also made a great opportunity for the incubation centers to take or to make investments in the startups. So these are the few achievements, and we continuously closely work with the government agencies. I used to say that the associations usually negotiate with the government for benefits, but in the incubation movement, I'm happy to say that there are government officials here, Mr. Mittal, you have met, and others. They always work with us, get our feedback before planning or before formulating the schemes. That's how the Nidhi Prayas, Nidhi schemes of DST and other schemes have evolved. To that extent, as an association, we have contributed, we are closely working with the governments. When state missions have come, as formed and the startups ecosystem has been built in the states, we started closely working with the various state governments, and we are there in their selection boards, committees, where we are able to translate our experiences and expertise to the policy makers in formulating the systems and processes for the establishing the incubation centers. Having said that, coming back to last 3 days of deliberation, it's a wonderful experience that we have, and we had about 150 incubation centers across the country participating in this ISBACON 2024. And the event started, out of this 150 incubation centers representatives, we had about 250 plus delegates who have registered from 150 incubation centers spread across 20 states from 75 cities. So the opening remarks, I mentioned that it is not about 250 incubation center executives, it's about 3,000 startups representatives are here in this particular hall. And it's a great opportunity that we had to have it's not about having our event, we celebrated our pre-conference at your center at T-Hub. And we also had about 18 to 20 international delegates from Asian countries participating in this conference as part of the Asian Association of Business Incubators. All these delegates had an opportunity to go through your T-Hub facility, T-Works facility, have an interaction with the officials who are there. And also we had the pre-conference workshops, learn from the team about the T-Hub's experiences, and it's a great opportunity for us to learn because for people like Chennai and Bangalore, T-Hub is accessible, but for the incubation centers who have come from Jammu Kashmir to other Northeast and things like that, visiting T-Hub, it's a great opportunity that ISBACON has created for them. And then next 2 days of the conference, we did it in CCMB in this campus, and we had speakers representing all the stakeholders for the ecosystem, right from the investors to the incubation center CEOs to the investors and to the policy makers, covering right from the incubation activities to the internationalization. We had a wonderful sessions, and as the final session, not the final session, it's an most important and most dynamic session. People have gathered and people have heard about you, we have read about you, we have seen your speeches or shorts in the social media, but it's a great opportunity for you to listen to you. And with these few words, on behalf of the ISBA family, I join Dr. Ramji in welcoming you, and thank you for your presence here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. And now I request Dr. Madhusudan Rao, CEO of AICCCMB, for the facilitation address. Sir.
Good afternoon, and it's my honor and pleasure, personal pleasure, to invite you to our midst, and it's a great honor for us to have you with us. And I have obviously a sense of belonging with our community of biotechnologists. That's a nice feeling. And the other one is I'm probably one of the admirers of your ability to narrate or articulate the vision of Telangana to the world. I think that's one of the most important thing, because the communication is the key to many things to happen, and I think you are very, very hot person that we would like to listen. Thank you very much for being with us. And ISBA is as Mr. Suresh told you about, the ISBA, it's a kind of, we believe the incubators are the facilitators and the mediators of many of the entrepreneurs to take their ideas and technologies to the market. So we play a big role, and I think that's the reason why a lot of importance is given to the incubators. But I think the number of incubators are still not enough to cater to the number of startups that are out there. And then this particular thing, we discuss various issues that challenge the incubators in various aspects of their sustainability, or how to raise money, how to be more impactful, how to be tier 2, tier 3 cities, kind of, reach that we need to make. And also how to make a lot of things that are accessible to rural areas and things. There are a lot of issues that we keep talking about. So we wish to have more continuous contact with you and listen to your ideas, so that will be a kind of helpful for all of us. Thank you very much for being with us. And yeah, we wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. Now it's my honor to request our chief guest, Honorable Shri KT Ramarao, sir, the former IT Minister, Government of Telangana, to deliver the valedictory address. Always it has been a pleasure to watching and listening to you, sir. It's a live experience. Thank you so very much, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Ramji, for welcoming me. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I also would like to thank you for the effusive introduction. Thank you very much. Dr. Suresh, I have quite a fascinating association with Coimbatore and PSG, so lovely seeing you in my city. Thank you very much. Also, thank you, Madhusudan Rao Garu. Thank you so much for welcoming us. Dr. Bala, thank you. To all the attendees from various parts of India, various incubators in India, welcome you to Hyderabad. I'd like to believe this is the most beautiful city in India. For those of you who are not from here, you can check it out yourself. It's a beautiful city. It's a lovely city. It offers you many more things other than the usual academics. It offers you the experience of history, culture, heritage, and also a blend of modernity and innovative youngsters and innovative startups that you would have probably experienced at T-Hub, T-Works, and also elsewhere in Hyderabad, among all the brilliant young startups that you probably would have interacted with. It's a pleasure to be here at this ISBA annual conference in 2024, which is coming back to Hyderabad after 17 years, as you said. Thank you very much. I'm told this is India's largest gathering of startup incubators. Compliments to you on completing 20 years, because I know, as a representative of a political party which has been around for 24 years, to do anything beyond 2 decades or 3 decades and stay relevant is not easy. So my compliments, Suresh, on making this happen. 250 delegates and 20 plus Indian states being represented here, again, is definitely a sign of good things, because India is a very diverse country. In India, everything changes every 250 kilometers. The language, the dialect, the cuisine, the style in which we interact with each other, and many other things. So it's in a very diverse, heterogeneous country, to bring about a cohesion in terms of innovation, in terms of how we can learn from each other without reinventing the wheel. That in itself is a huge challenge. So my compliments, Suresh, on making sure that all of you come together, all of you work together, and with brilliant minds like Dr. Mittal, Anita ji is here, And my colleague, Dr. Shanta, is here. My colleague, Mr. Lakshma Reddy, is here. So working with all these diverse, eclectic groups belonging to various states, bringing all of them together in itself is a remarkable feat. So I do hope you've had a great experience in Hyderabad over the last 3 days. And I do hope you'll come back to T-Hub, T-Works for further collaborations, for further networking opportunities, etc. Now, as I reflect on the changing nature of words, the word initiative comes to mind quite easily. You know, initiative at one point of time was a word that was viewed with hesitation, often perceived as something uncertain. And now, in India and elsewhere across the world, it is transformed into a symbol of leadership and opportunity. Now, in the world of startups and innovation, taking initiative is celebrated. It's seen as the crucial first step toward creating something groundbreaking. This shift in perception shows how much the world has evolved, where initiative is no longer something to shy away from, but a powerful leap towards progress and innovation. In fact, in this very auditorium at IICT, I remember, one of the events that I attended, I remember two things very distinctly. I think it was Dr. Mashelkar, if I remember correctly, who was here at this very podium addressing the audience. He said two things. India doesn't have the luxury of leapfrogging, is what he said. In terms of innovation, he said India does not have the luxury of leapfrogging. India needs to pole vault. India needs to jump a few hoops and catch up with the rest of the world. We don't have the luxury of leapfrogging. The second thing he said, I remember very distinctly. He had said, what India needs is not venture capital. India needs is a bit of adventure capital. I think that's, it's not just a good rhyming thing, to say, but it's a very logical thing to say as well. Because in the complex set of, issues that we encounter on a day-to-day basis as an innovator, I think one of the things India does need is capital and capitalists who are wanting to bet big and wanting to actually work with you all young startups and young incubators on really moving that innovation piece forward quickly. Now, when we talk about innovation, we often look to the global innovation hubs as the mecca of innovation. What makes it so? It's not just the cutting-edge technology or the abundance of talent. It's the ability to take ideas, market them, and present them to the world. While you could innovate, you also need the ability to pitch your ideas, to sell your vision. I think that's very, very important because, I've lived in the US for about 7.5 years. In fact, as Dr. Madhu said, my background was in biology. I have a graduate degree in microbiology, botany and chemistry from Nizam College, Hyderabad. Subsequently, I also have a master's degree in biotechnology from Pune University. And then I also have a master's degree in business administration and marketing and e-commerce from City University of New York. Now, what I realized the difference in how we work in India versus how how the United States works, there's a very distinct difference in terms of how the pitch is made, how they brilliantly market even the smallest of things. Our chief minister, our former chief minister, my leader, Shri KTR, he used to say, whenever we used to talk about tourism, he used to joke and he used to keep saying, he used to say, what is there in Singapore? With all due respect to Singapore, I'm not saying anything nasty. He used to say, what is there in Singapore to market? It's a very small city country. वहाँ पे है क्या? हम लोग जाते हैं इतना दूर से, वहाँ पे एक लायन का एक बड़ा एक वो है पुतला है, उसके सामने जाके एक तस्वीर खींच के आते हैं, बोलते हैं कि हम लोग सिंगापुर गए, ये किए वो किए. मतलब ये है कि मैं कहना ये चाह रहा हूँ कि हमें marketing, even the smallest of things, if we are able to market it properly, pitch it properly, and present it. I think clarity of thought is important, but clarity of expression is far more important for a startup, for an innovator. I think that's something we can learn, take a few leaves out of, of the books of the American marketing geniuses and even the Bay Area marketing geniuses. Because communication will create further value to whatever product you have. Communication is the key in terms of augmenting and in terms of actually making your product or service very, very presentable to the rest of the world. As we talk about innovation on a global scale, it's also important to recognize how we're fostering it locally right here in Telangana in the last 1 decade. As some of you may know it, Telangana is a new state. In fact, it is the most youngest state in India. It is only about 11 years old. Let me take you back and narrate a story that's very close to my heart and probably very highly relevant to this event. Ramji spoke about it for a minute, but I think this is a story that might inspire some of you at least. It all started in 2014, right after the formation of the new state. So June 2nd, 2014 is when the state was formed. And June, I think, 4th or 5th, I was actually at ISB, I think, right, I think it was like 2 or 3 days after the formation of the state. I swore in as a minister. And I was very keen to learn. I was very keen to learn, to understand exactly what we can do in terms of innovation. So I ended up at one of the best places in Hyderabad, which is IIIT Hyderabad and the ISB Hyderabad. Ended up there, started interacting with the directors, the deans, the researchers, some students as well. I was asking questions. I was very inquisitive. I wanted to understand what's going on. So there was always this big debate of how Bangalore is ahead of everybody else. Anybody from Bangalore here? Nobody? Seriously? Acha, few of you. Thank you. So how Bangalore is ahead, way ahead, in fact, of rest of the country in terms of innovation and how the startup culture there is, far ahead in terms of, say, the venture capital that they attract, in terms of the number of unicorns, a bunch of other things, which are very, very nice about Bangalore. So the one question that I kept asking myself and also everybody else I met with, I said, how is it that this city has done so well, whereas other Indian cities, which have been traditionally very, very popular, like Chennai, like Delhi, Bombay, which are again home to some of the best institutions, even Hyderabad, some brilliant academic institutions like IICT, CCMB, NIN, NGRI. How come we don't have as much innovation happening in our city? And how can we attract more investments? Because I was a Minister for Technology, Minister for Commerce. So my job was to attract investments, create jobs. So that was a question that was foremost on my mind. Amidst all this uncertainty in the initial days of formation of a new state, the idea was, how can we brand Telangana, which has just become a new state, as a startup state, as a state which is fledgling, which is just about beginning its journey? How can we make this a very attractive story? That was the premise. And the question I was asking is, how can we leverage the innovation ecosystem here? I realized that there are enough number of institutions in Hyderabad, like the ones I just mentioned, and many more. There are enough, again, academic institutions, number of brilliant colleges, brilliant higher education institutions, research institutions, and also a lot of youngsters who are very, very keen to become entrepreneurs, to innovate, etc. Now, the key point was to be able to bring all of them onto one platform, to see how we can create a synergy and how the government can play the role of an enabler. So the one takeaway for me on the 5th of June, when I ended up at IIIT Hyderabad and ISB Hyderabad, was, if I wanted my state to be called as a startup state, probably what I would require is a fine synthesis of some, synergy between all these various institutions and how we can probably bring them together. And the one X factor that was missing in comparison with Bangalore for Hyderabad was a vibrant innovation ecosystem. So that's how we started realizing that we needed to look at this closely. And that's how actually T-Hub became a reality. This was 2014, June 5th, when we started looking at this. In 2015, T-Hub actually took shape. And I have to share this story with you. I wanted nobody else other than Ratan Tata to inaugurate it. A lot of people asked me. He just passed away. I remember him fondly. I've had many interactions with him. A lot of people asked me, they said, there are a number of unicorn founders that you can get. Why are you calling Ratan Tata? I said, I think he really symbolizes, he truly symbolizes the kind of change I want to see in India. Because here is this septuagenarian, a 70-year-old plus man. Now I think when he passed, he was 86. A 70-plus-year-old man who's as old as the independent India, because India was also there about 65-odd years of independence. But you see this gentleman who's 70-plus, who could very happily retire, who could very happily move away because, he's wealthy, he's got he's got access to all the good things in life, he doesn't have to work at all. But you see him investing in a startup every other day. You see him trying to do something or the other new every single day to keep himself occupied. He keeps interacting. He keeps going to places, lecturing on innovation, etc., etc. So I was very keen. So I reached out to him. I said, Mr. Tata, I want you to come inaugurate this facility. He said, what is this T-Hub? So I made a pitch. I said, sir, this is actually probably the biggest incubator in India now, and this is going to be a place where all of the innovators will basically come together. They'll have mentorship, they'll have all kinds of logistical support from the government. They'll also probably be able to pitch to the venture capital, which was a very nascent idea. Unfortunately, he was sick. He said, I'm sick, I can't travel. He said, I'd be happy to do it virtually. I said, no. I want you to come and inspire all of us. He said, that would mean a couple of months. You know, I'm going through a medical procedure, I can only come a couple of months later. I said, fine. We actually postponed the event by, I think, 2 or 3 months, just to make sure Mr. Ratan Tata was here. And the reason why I'm mentioning, because, you know, when you hear the name Tata, you think of a large truck or a large manufacturing facility in Jamshedpur, a steel industry. But when you see the man and when you see the kind of investments he's making, it's very inspirational. So I wanted him to come. He came in on the 5th of November, 2015. I remember distinctly. And he made a fantastic speech when he saw the facility, interacted with the startups. This is what he said. And that is my biggest takeaway in my interactions with Mr. Ratan Tata. He said, T-Hub, this facility that I've just inaugurated, is a symbol, is a face of modern India. This is what he had said. And that is what I take most pride in. I was, of course, wanting to lash on to the lowest hanging fruit, so therefore I went to ISB, therefore I went to IIIT Hyderabad, and then we also started seeing how we can really, like I said, probably scale up and, grow up, into a next level. That's when I started touring the world. I traveled to the US many a times, to the Valley, and also many other inspiring incubation hubs and nodes and important so-called destinations. Result of all these interactions was we realized, if India really has to be a force in the world in terms of our ability to challenge the world, ability to actually connect with the rest of innovation ecosystem in the world, we also need scale. So we decided that we will actually create the world's largest tech incubator in India, and that too in Hyderabad. So the initial phase of T-Hub was only about 75 to 78,000 square foot in terms of physical space, could only accommodate about 200 startups. But then we wanted to create the world's largest. So then we went about methodically again, and this time we have, where you were yesterday, in fact, that place, the T-Hub phase 2, we used to call it reactor. I'm not sure what this government is calling it anymore. But we created almost 570,000 square foot of space, which can eventually accommodate more than 2,000 startups under one single roof. And alongside that, while we were working on this, alongside that, we basically carved out about 18 acres in of prime real estate in Hyderabad Knowledge City. Alongside the T-Hub, we also created India's largest prototyping facility called as T-Works, so that, hobbyists, enthusiasts, anybody who's wanting to create a product prototype can actually dabble in that. It could be a youngster, a college student, or could just be a hobbyist, or could just be somebody else. We created T-Works. And alongside of these two, we also created what is called as Image Tower. Now, Image literally stands for innovation in animation, multimedia, gaming, and entertainment. Now, between all three of them, we have decided to create 1.5 million square foot of constructed space, which would eventually have more than 5,000 startups working under one single roof, and that truly would be the world's largest innovation campus. So this was the vision of our government in terms of creating T-Hub, T-Works, Image, all in one location, co-located together, so that these kids could work with each other, talk to each other, get inspired, and also network, and also grow as time passes. Now, I think we've had some great successes also from T-Hub, T-Works, and I can tell you it's a unique PPP model what we've created with backing from the government, and along with support from industry leaders and premier educational institutions. T-Hub became a living, breathing ecosystem, and it wasn't long before it began to make waves. It played a pivotal role in positioning Telangana as a hub for entrepreneurship, nurturing thousands of startups in the state, connecting them to investors, mentors, and industry leaders. And we did not stop at this. We started creating more and more of such incubators. We have created India's only, one and only, women entrepreneurship hub, called as the V-Hub. Then subsequently, we also created what is called as RICH, the Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad, which again brings about a synergy between academic institutions, the marketplace out there, so that you actually start researching and working more, not on what is what is of interest to us, but also to the market outside. We also then subsequently wanted to catch our innovators young. So we brought in some very brilliant young minds from across the world. Dr. Shanta Tautam is sitting right in front of me. She was working in the US. She has a PhD. She's a doctor. I brought her from the US, made her the CEO of Telangana State Innovation Cell, whose intent was to work with the 26,000 government schools that there are in Telangana, catch our young minds. In association with the Education Department, we launched what is called as a School Innovation Challenge, and we went about identifying entrepreneurs from rural backgrounds, entrepreneurs who are coming out with some socially useful products, and we wanted to create more and more of such vehicles. The momentum ultimately led us from 200 startups in 2014 to now more than 5,000 startups in Hyderabad in a span of 10 years. We have, but I think the sheer numbers don't really matter. If you ask me, it's not the quantity, but I think it's the quality. So therefore, I'm also super proud that some of these startups have made waves across the world. In fact, a T-Hub incubator called as Skyroot was the first Indian space tech company to have sent a satellite into the orbit. Now that is the kind of impact we have been able to create. Also, over the past 8-9 years, T-Hub has contributed to a total investment of more than $3.5 billion in the startups that it has nurtured. Of course, fueled innovation with more than 600 corporate partnerships, facilitated 500 mentor connections, and engaged with more than 3,000 startups. Well, I can go on and on about T-Hub because it was my baby, but I think I've said enough on that. Like I said, we've also created a number of other institutions, but the last thing I'll tell you before I quit. We believe very strongly in the 3I mantra to spur further innovation. What do I mean, the 3I mantra? We said, we have to innovate, incubate, incorporate. At the same time, we also, while we do this, we also wanted to focus as a whole, and I'm sure Jayesh must have mentioned it when he was here. What's important, Dr. Suresh, is I think all of us can learn from each other. We collaborated with many other states. We collaborated with Goa. We collaborated with, I remember, Delhi. We also collaborated with Assam in terms of helping them from our learnings, from our experience on how we could probably build incubators at a faster pace, how we could probably help them without having to reinvent the wheel. And most importantly, I think the 3I mantra that I was espousing all along: innovation, infrastructure, and most important is inclusive growth. We cannot be elitist. Incubators can't just be in tier 1 cities. They can't just be in Hyderabad and Chennai and all the metros. We have to spread them to tier 2 and tier 3 towns. That's exactly what we've done in Telangana. In about 10 tier 2 towns in Telangana, the government of Telangana had created lovely IT hubs, in which we also have a space dedicated for innovation for T-Hub at a rural tier 2 destination. We also have what is called as TASK, the Telangana Academy for Skills and Knowledge, so that a job seeker can go to TASK, a job creator, a potential job creator, can come to T-Hub or can come to T-Works. So this is the kind of whole of ecosystem approach that we have taken, and it's been a fascinating journey. Today I'm proud to share with you as I stand here that my state truly is a startup state, because in the first 10 years of its existence, it went from being ranked 14th in terms of per capita income in 2014 to number 1 in 2023 when we actually relinquished office. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Look forward to continuous conversations, and I hope continued conversations, and I hope you continue to enjoy Hyderabad and your visits here. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir, for such a lovely session. You spoke about innovation, the three mantras, how T-Hub has developed. You also spoke about We Hub, more power to all the women and more power to all the men who are supporting them. It's great to hear about all the details what Hyderabad as a Telangana state is doing, and it's inspiring that how we need to believe in collaboration and support each other. Then only we can become number one in the world. And can we have a big, big round of applause once again? तालियां जोर से बजनी चाहिए, इसमें शोर होना चाहिए. और सर आप हमारे लिए बहुत ही प्रेरणा का स्रोत हैं. And now I request Dr. Suresh to kindly present the memento to our guest, please. Can we have a big round of applause once again? तालियां बजती रहें तो प्रोत्साहन बना रहता है. सर एकमात्र स्तोत्र हैं, हम सभी इनसे बहुत ही प्रभावित हैं और आज हमें इनसे रूबरू होने का मौका मिला है, तो ये हमारे लिए बहुत सौभाग्य की बात है. Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. And now I request Dr. Balachandra, Director of BIT, TBI, and Vice President of ISBA, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Respected KTR Garu, the former IT Minister, Government of Telangana, Dr. Suresh, Executive Director, PSG STEP, and President of ISBA, Dr. Madhusudan Rao, CEO, AIC CCMB, Dr. Ramji Palela, COO, AIC CCMB, Dr. Anita Gupta, Head of CEST Division, Department of Science and Technology, Dr. Yogesh Brahmankar, Head Innovation Cell, Director Innovation at Ministry of Education, and all delegates, dignitaries present here, press and media. So, good afternoon. It's a great privilege and honor to have one of the great champions of innovation and startups in the country as part of our ISBA's closing ceremony. Sir, your vision and action combined with passion and dedication has resulted in tall outcomes. You've given all this as a gift to the society. The T-Hub, T-Works, we have image, task, reach, not only in physical shape, but also in providing stimulating intellectual environment for the creative minds. Thank you, sir, for gracing ISBACON and for your kind words of wisdom and inspiration. In energy transfer, positive aura. As people get back to their respective zones, I will not and I also take this opportunity to thank the local host, AIC CCMB, for putting special efforts, and IICT for providing this wonderful auditorium. And in AIC CCMB, I would like to have a special word of gratitude to Dr. Madhusudan Rao, Dr. Ramji, Ms. Ritika, and the entire team of AIC CCMB. And we also thank Mr. Vijay and Rajesh and Mr. Sujit CEO, T-Hub, for the masterclass arrangements and the visit facilitation. The participants were awestruck, especially the international ones were very, very impressed with the kind of work happening there. And also to T-Works, Mr. Joginder. Our sincere thanks to all speakers, session managers, for providing deep insights through your wisdom and expertise. We are really honored and humbled to have this kind of intellectual progress happening over the last 3 days. We are also very grateful to all our sponsors, starting with Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, Government of Telangana, BIRAC, Ministry of Electronics, IKP Knowledge Park, Sanchi Connect, Entutech, Thermo Fisher, Oban and Associates, AWS, and ICICI Bank. Our thanks is due to all our local anchor incubators for extending great support for the conduct of this conference in a very, very smooth manner. Sri Lakshman Reddy Garu, who is present here, gracing this occasion, thank you very much for joining us. Our thanks to President ISBA for putting together his best efforts to make this conference a memorable one. And I also take this opportunity to thank the Vice President, Mr. Prasad Manan, for being the chair of this conference session and providing a great experience, supported amply by the other governing body members, Prasad Shetty, Gladys Noyer, and few others. And our thanks to all support providers, including the production and creative teams, the catering supporters, press and media for giving wider coverage, and more particularly all the participants for traveling from the length and breadth of the country for being with us. And I also have a special word of appreciation to the ABI, the Asian Association of Business Incubation, for choosing Hyderabad as a venue for hosting the ABI General Assembly and ABI Summit this year. We thank the ABI President and Vice President on this occasion. So thank you one and all, and have a safe and return journey, and thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Bala sir, for your kind words. And now, if I may request our guest to capture this moment with the governing body team, who has been working day and night to get these things for all of us. Thank you.
Hello? టూలో ఉంది టూలో మైక్ తీసేసాను మైక్ తీసుకెళ్ళి బయటకు వెళ్ళిండు, అందుకే జనరల్ ఆడియో వస్తుంది. మైక్ తీసుకెళ్ళి బయటకు వెళ్ళాను అని చెప్పింది. బయటకు వెళ్ళిండు రిపోర్టర్, మైక్ తీసుకొని బయటకు వెళ్ళాను. బయట తీసుకొచ్చాను కాదు, అందరూ అక్కడ వెయిట్ చేస్తున్నాం. అది పోనా చెప్పాలి, పెట్టుకుంటూ ఉండాలి. ఏడున్న
Also would like to thank you for the effusive introduction.